I just wanted to ask you, first off, take a minute to kind of introduce yourself to the voters and let them know why you're the right guy for this position in the 95th district.
Absolutely. Thank you, John, for allowing me to be here tonight, for your time. And my thanks to everybody who's taking the time to watch this and plans on participating in this upcoming election this fall. So I'm from Coffeen, Illinois. I actually live closer to Fillmore, Illinois, where I grew up. I've been a journeyman laborer with Labor Local 1084 since about 2002. After undergrad, I joined the Army, and I've been in the Army for the past 13 years, whether that's been active duty or with the Illinois National Guard or with the reserves. I'm a chaplain by trade and craft, and I continue my service in the Army Reserves. So coming home and looking around, I see really a booming economy, but that booming economy has been one of division. It's been one of partisan rhetoric. It's been one of, sadly, oftentimes fear. And I think it's time that my district has a leader that knows the value of what it means to pour concrete on Route 16, that knows the value of what it means to work a bridge job or to work on I-55, knows what it means to work a picket line, and knows what it means when a place like CIPS closes and that powerhouse goes away along with those jobs. So I think it's time that my district is represented by somebody who knows that, has those values. I also think it's time that we have somebody that really represents the people and not a single party. And that's what I'm here to do. As I said, I've spent 13 years of my life defending this country, and I'm ready to defend and serve this district now.
Now, if you are elected to it, what would your focuses be if you're elected to this position?
Absolutely. So if elected, I believe, out of the gate, the number one focus is sort of tied into what I just mentioned. And that's standing up to what a lot of people call the political machine. When I talk to the constituents, when I talk to my neighbors, there's a lot of distrust and there's a lot of fear that's coming out of Springfield. And I think we need somebody that's going to stand up against that. Aside from that, obviously jobs and our economy is huge, and that's always going to continue to be important. So looking at how we can really enliven our economy to have long-term sustaining jobs, not just short-term answers, is going to be important. And something that's very near and dear to my heart in particular is mental and behavioral health. As I mentioned, for the past 13 years in the Army as a chaplain, that's something that's been so important and so close. And it's not just for our veterans. I think that something that I particularly bring to the table outside of my leadership skills is that nuance and that aspect of paying attention more closely to behavioral health in our rural communities. And I think that's critical.
Now, that part of that district specifically covers a lot of agriculture. How would you try to help, those farmers out there who need that help and representation from the state? How would you focus on them and be able to help them?
Yeah, absolutely. Agricultural frames our way of life in this district. I live across from a cornfield. I've hunted those back roads and those field rows. And so being an advocate and continuing to enable our agricultural community to have a voice for themselves and to put their interests at the table, I think that's going to be critical, and that's important, is to let their voice be heard and to let them guide the future of that family farm, because that's critical.
And where do you think maybe some of the misfalls or the things that have happened previously with previous leadership that you would be able to do better?
Yeah, so I think it's time also we have a Democrat that stands up to this big party machine Democrat thing that everybody's afraid of, and I'm ready and willing to be that individual. I'll say this, when I was 22, the only thing that I was appointed to was things like KP or Firewatch when I was in officer candidate school. So being a leader of the people means representing everyone, not just the people you agree with. And I think it's high time that our district has somebody who's ready and willing to do that.
Awesome. Did you have anything else that you wanted to say to the voters?
No, I hope you look into me. I hope you learn more about me, about what I'm trying to do. And I thank you for your time. Everyone says that every election is always, one of the most pivotal and one of the most important. And of course, that's true. But I really want to bring this down to how we're taking care of our own district, how we're taking care of our own neighbor, and how we can really live into the American dream that I still believe in. And I love and believe in the future of the state of Illinois, but I think it's going to take not just ethics reform, but an ethical individual at the table for the people.
Awesome. I just want to ask, we've about hit that 5-minute mark now. So here's my follow-up question too. How would you improve, the state house, and how would you also, improve, that relationship? What you've talked a lot about holding the Democratic Party accountable, how would you specifically improve that, and how would you work to change the Democratic Party like the way that you're saying?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I think that means, obviously, again, everyone wants to talk about what it means to have bipartisan leadership, but that means bringing downstate Democrats to the table with Chicagoland and Cook County Democrats to the same table to have more serious conversations with our colleagues. And when I use the colleague word, I mean that across the aisle, regardless of your party. My allegiance is to the people and not to a party. And I think it's time that we have leadership that openly says that. And specifically, I think it's time that we have some term limits on leadership positions. I think that's something that I hear a lot from my constituents, and I think that that's easy in the sense of living into the will of what the people would like to see.